Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is going to be titled, Don't Take It Personally. I have spoken before about how people communicate with each other, particularly how negativity is often transferred. In many cases, what someone says to you reveals far more about their internal state than it does about your actual worth. That observation has been consistent across my experiences, both online and offline. Connected to that idea is something I have been actively working on for the past several years. It is an issue I find genuinely difficult. I take things personally, especially when people are rude, insulting, or deliberately offensive. This tendency has shaped many of my reactions, often in ways I no longer respect. When someone speaks to me harshly, my instinct is to internalize it. I replay the words. I assign meaning. I assume intent. This process happens quickly and without permission. As a result, I react emotionally rather than thoughtfully. I do not want to be that person anymore. I do not want to be the person who becomes angry and starts yelling back. That version of myself feels reactive, uncontrolled, and ineffective. If two people are both emotionally foggy, the result is not clarity. It is chaos. Two agitated minds do not resolve conflict. They amplify it. Nothing improves. Nothing changes. When I take everything personally, I lock myself into that fog. I stop listening. I stop reasoning. I stop communicating effectively. At that point, resolution becomes impossible. Over the past year or two, I've paid closer attention to patterns in how people interact. I noticed something that I had seen before but never measured carefully. Many people say things specifically to provoke a reaction. They want you to get angry. They want you to take it personally. The reaction is the objective. The words are merely the delivery mechanism. Once you react, the dynamic shifts. Suddenly, you are accused of being too sensitive, too emotional, too serious. The original insult disappears, and your response becomes the focus. This happens frequently on the internet. The behavior is often disguised as humor or dismissed as online culture. In reality, it is structured provocation. It is rage bait. You are invited to bite, and when you do, you are blamed for chewing. Even when the situation is not deliberately manipulative, taking things personally still creates a problem. Once that mindset takes over, calming down becomes extremely difficult. Conversation becomes confrontation. When you are composed, you think more clearly. Your responses are sharper. Your understanding is deeper. You are far more likely to reach someone or at least preserve your own dignity. Yelling feels powerful in the moment. Insulting someone back can feel like control. It can feel like justice. That sensation is temporary and misleading. From an outside perspective, the dynamic looks different. When someone listens to an exchange and hears one person get personal, then hears the other person retaliate by getting even more personal. The distinction between victim and perpetrator disappears. At that point, both parties appear equally responsible. The escalation erases context. The observer does not see defense. They see participation. This is another pattern I see often in people who take things personally. They seek revenge through words. They aim to hurt back. The conflict escalates and becomes uglier than it ever needed to be. I eventually realized I needed a different framework. I needed a way to interpret rejection and criticism without internal collapse. I came up with an analogy that clarified the issue for me. It is simple and effective. I am pumpkin spice. Pumpkin spice is popular. Many people enjoy it. Many people actively seek it out. Some people despise it. The existence of people who dislike pumpkin spice does not make pumpkin spice bad. It makes taste subjective. Not being someone's pumpkin spice is not a personal failure. It is a mismatch of preference. That distinction matters. I extended that logic further. If someone chooses whole milk instead of 2%, nothing is wrong with 2% milk. It simply was not their choice at that moment. Someone else will choose it shortly after. The product does not lose value because it was passed over. I had to accept that I will not be everyone's pumpkin spice. I used to take that personally. I am actively working not to. This has been a long process. Change at this level is slow. However, I am glad I recognized the problem when I did. The path I was on did not lead anywhere productive. It led to bitterness, reactivity, and loss of self-control. I value self-control. When I take everything personally, I lose it. That is unacceptable to me. I am making this change because I think long-term. 5 or 10 years from now, I do not want to be the same reactive person. I have a long life ahead, and I do not want it dominated by negativity. What I have observed repeatedly is that much of the negativity people express says more about them than it does about me. That is not comforting. It is clarifying. Some people say things completely out of context. Their words are disconnected from the actual situation. They are simply reaching for whatever they think will hurt. I experienced this firsthand during a visit with my sister. She lived with her boyfriend at the time. I was there to see her, not him. One morning, he was late for something and already angry. He directed that anger toward me. He was rude, disrespectful, and unpleasant. Later, he told my sister and me to hurry up because we were supposedly leaving. I believed he was already outside. He was not. He was standing on the stairs listening. While speaking privately to my sister, I vented. I was angry. I spoke aggressively. I took his behavior personally and responded emotionally. He heard everything. He confronted me and began insulting me. That reaction, while hostile, was predictable. Then he crossed a line. He began bringing up irrelevant details about my life, my job status, my living situation, things unrelated to the conflict. At that moment, it became obvious. He was no longer responding to what happened. He was searching for vulnerabilities. That behavior revealed far more about him than about me. The goal was not resolution. It was harm. This example illustrates the core lesson. People often say out-of-pocket things because they are projecting, deflecting, or discharging their own negativity. This is a principle frequently taught in psychology and therapy. What comes out of someone's mouth often reflects their internal world. Once you truly understand that, your perception changes. You stop absorbing every insult as truth. You stop assuming every attack defines you. Even when a statement contains some truth, the motivation behind saying it matters. Negativity delivered with intent to harm is still about the speaker. Remembering this allows distance. Distance allows clarity. Clarity allows control. That is the person I am working to become. Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Signing out. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye for now.